Hello again, and welcome to yet another edition of the IPEC Forum podcast. This is the platform where we unpack issues affecting the insurance and pension sectors and bring clarity to policyholders as well as members of pension schemes across Zimbabwe. Now, in our inaugural episode last month, we spoke to none other than the Commissioner General of the Insurance and Pensions Commission, Dr. Grace Muradzikwa, about IPEC's mandate and its role in terms of consumer protection. Today, we want to zero in on one of the areas that IPEC focuses on, and that is the pension sector. And I'm joined by Mr. Cuthbert Munjoma. He's the Director of Pensions and Life Supervision at the Insurance and Pensions Commission. Our discussion today will focus directly on the financial security of workers, both in employment and in retirement. Mr. Munjoma, great to have you here. Welcome to the IPEC Forum.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thanks for having me.
Fantastic. Now, I suppose to begin at the beginning, as I like to say, pension, what is the significance? What is the importance of a pension? Or if I was to put it to you in other words, how would you convince someone that they should contribute towards a pension?
Thank you very much. A pension is two primary responsibilities or roles. The first one is at an individual level. This is a deferred salary or a saving for future use on retirement. It's meant to ensure that individuals smoothen their consumption on retirement. One can be active today, working, providing all your needs, but certainly old age is it is as certain as death. So on retirement, one would certainly need income for various needs, and the pension is that source of income. It helps to smoothen consumption to retirement. It helps to provide financial independence. On retirement, it's also a pillar for social security protection. Mm-hmm. So that's at an individual level. At a national level, this is arguably the largest source of domestic saving in any economy after tax revenue. And generally, there's a nexus between economic growth and the vibrance of this sector. The sector provides long-term saving for financial intermediation. That is for all lending by banks. Then it also supports capital markets in terms of broadening and deepening of capital markets. It provides capital also for financial infrastructure, as well as infrastructure in general in the economy. Of interest is social infrastructure, such as health care facilities. The pensioners at old age, they would certainly need that. And of late, we are seeing pension funds investing in such social infrastructure. Related to that is also student accommodation, among others. Mm-hmm. So generally, this is a very key sector of the economy in terms of provision of capital.
Indeed, as you've quite rightly mentioned, there are immediate benefits that will accrue to a contributor or a pension scheme member, as you're saying, hospitals now and then later when you are in retirement. One of the issues that has been quite topical in your quarterly reports is contribution arrears. And this is where employers fail to remit or make the pension contributions when they are meant to. How serious a problem is this?
It is a very common problem. I think if not from our December Q4 report, the figure stood at about 126 million. Wow. This is cumulative, and that's quite significant. Yeah. It amounts to about 4% of total assets. At one point, around 2017, it used to about 11% of our assets.
Also, you've been able
that's
to...
That's quite significant. Mm-hmm. It has actually declined over the years. But it's a serious problem that we are worried with.
What impact does that have on members, on pension, people who are contributing towards their pension?
It has several impacts. The number one is to then erode the amount of assets that are available to pay benefits if those areas are actually not paid for. It also impact adversely on the funding levels of defined benefit pension funds. These are funds that promise a defined benefit on retirement. Then even at a national level, it then impacts adversely on the national savings mobilization efforts for the purpose of meeting various financial needs of the country. Mm-hmm. So from a soundness perspective of a pension fund, it would then compromise the financial soundness and viability of pension funds.
Certainly I think this is a very sort of unfair thing to do where someone is thinking that they're contributing or preparing, for their golden period, and then that is actually not happening. What as IPEC are you doing to address this issue of contribution areas and to protect pension scheme members?
There are a number of initiatives that we've put in place. The first aspect is engaging the board of trustees, the board of fund members, so that they are aware that they are the custodians of pension fund assets. They are supposed to be engaging with respect sponsoring employers to ensure that they make good what will be outstanding. It is a statutory requirement that by the 14th day after end of every month, pension funds ought to have remitted. So if that does not happen, they do have obligations to report to us as IPEC. Once we receive that, we do engage the sponsoring employers to understand the nature of challenges that they are facing. Some may have genuine challenges. We ask them to enter into repayment agreements with the respective pension funds. We also urge them to consider debt asset swaps. Some will be having assets as sponsoring employee. They can then cede the assets to the respective pension funds. Then tied to that, we are also urging the members themselves to say they do receive benefit statements now and again, and as they receive them, we require that if there are any areas that are outstanding, as an individual being thorough, you can actually tell a pension fund is owing this, and that can be brought to our attention. Then lastly, is the last resort, we can invoke provisions of Section 16 of the Pension Provident Funds Act. It provides for garnish of a sponsoring employer's account, a defaulting sponsoring employer, in favor of a pension fund. So before we do that, we do a lot of engagements. We allow the fund to engage with the board or with the employers. Then we can also weigh in as IPEC as last resort, and we can then exercise those powers. We can garnish in a bank account of a sponsoring employer.
We've seen you do that in recent times. Could you tell us how much you've been able to recover or get in terms of then being able to put back into those pension schemes where it's meant to go? If you give us an indication of it.
It's quite significant. I think what we did is to identify top defaulting sponsoring employer, about 50 of those. We then engaged them, about 11 cleared their arrears, about 26 of them entered into various repayment agreements. The ones that were not making progress are the ones that we garnished. We just garnished about 6 of those, and we've recovered above $2 million USD equivalent.
Wow, that's quite significant. I think what's also quite impressive is the fact that you said this is the last resort, but beyond that, there are also other innovations. I mean, you're trying to find practical ways, as you're saying, swapping assets to cover this debt, which I think are innovations that will address this challenge where pension funds are facing difficulties.
Yeah, of interest again is our engagements with the government, the line ministries for various state enterprises that were in arrears. We've also received the support from the corporate governance unit in the Office of the President and Cabinet. They actually introduced the remittance of pension contributions as part of performance assessment of state enterprises. Those that will be owing pension funds, they are actually required that they are audited financial statements every year. They would have to disclose liabilities to pension funds, so as a way of ring-fencing those liabilities and also reflecting the true financial position, because some will be owing but they don't report it in their FinStats. So once they then report them, it actually compels them to also ensure they come up with measures of liquidating those areas.
One final thing on that, you did mention it earlier, but I wanted to reiterate it because I think the purpose of this podcast is to empower pension scheme members and the general public. It is their right to know that if a contribution is not being made, if I'm paying or money is being deducted and the sponsoring employer is not remitting it, it is my right, I am allowed to go and report.
Certainly, the principal officer is also obligated at law to report to IPEC should they not receive the contributions by the 14th day of the month. So that would actually help us as IPEC to ensure that we do protect members of the public from those non-remittances.
Fantastic. We need to take a short break now, but we will continue this discussion. Mr. Cuthbert Mjoma is the Director of Pensions and Life Supervision at the Insurance and Pensions Commission, and we are talking about how pension scheme members what they can do to ensure that they access their benefits and those that rightfully belong to them. Stay tuned. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. This is the IPEC Forum. My guest today is Mr. Cuthbert Mjoma. We're talking about issues affecting the pension sector and pension scheme members. Mr. Mjoma, another thing that has attracted quite a bit of attention is the issue of unclaimed pension benefits. What are we talking about here?
This is a practice where the benefits would fall due for payment, but no one is coming to claim them. And there are various reasons for that. Number one could be migration of people. People are leaving the country, going to different places. Some would even leave the urban areas for retirement in the rural areas. Mm-hmm. So I think it then touches on issues to do with awareness, financial awareness, issues to do with retirement planning. Mm-hmm. Some people are not aware that they are actually contributing to a pension fund. It then calls for awareness at employer level, at regulatory level, at national level, and there are a number of initiatives that we are actually putting in place to ensure that people are aware of their rights and obligations to claim the pension benefits, including minors. Mm-hmm. They have to be educated, spouses, because
and when he passes on, no one knows where to go. Yes. Is there a way, or a mechanism, or a database, or a register where one could go, for instance, now and check if they have unclaimed pension benefits?
We have weighed in as IPEC, noting the gap that existed. So we came up with a portal which is on our website. One can access to check whether there are any benefits that are outstanding. We've also engaged the various pension funds and pension fund administrators to do the same, including tracing of members who may have been contributing but not claiming their benefits.
Mm-hmm. And I think also what's important to reiterate, I would imagine, is that those funds are there. It's not like if they are unclaimed, someone would then say, let's put it back in the kitty, or let's utilize it for something else. If it's due to you and owed to you, I would assume it will always be there.
Yes, the legal requirement is that it remain in the pension funds, accruing investment return for 5 years. Beyond the 5-year mark, it would then have to be remitted to the guardian fund. In terms of the Administration of Estates Act, people can also claim. They can claim from the pension fund within the 5 years, or they can claim from the Master of High Court to the guardian fund post the 5 years. But should the benefits remain unclaimed in the guardian fund for a period of 30 years, then they would have to be remitted to the Consolidated Revenue Fund. That is to the government.
Okay. Another topical issue where we focus on pensions is the issue of low pension benefits when someone is now receiving them. And one of the things that I think IPEC has attributed this to is the low contributions.
Yes.
Could you explain to us how this ends up happening? Because as you mentioned at the beginning of the program, it is sort of saying the lifestyle that I wanted to live, or I'm living now, I should maybe not exactly the same, but a bit close to it.
It is important to note that about 97% of the registered pension funds are defined contribution funds. It means that the payment on retirement is dependent on the amounts that would have been set aside for retirement, plus some investment return, less cost of looking after the monies. So if people are contributing very small amounts, for instance, currently there's a practice of non-pensionable allowances. So to look at the salary structure, you'll be earning possibly 20, 30 times the pensionable salary as allowances. Mm-hmm. So certainly the impact is that you are saving very little for retirement. And people in their minds, they would think, I'm earning this much, I'm earning $10,000. If contribution rate is 10% for employer-employee, I'm setting aside $500. When in actual fact, possibly are setting aside $5 or $10. So should you set it to $5, $10 for 40 years, the amount may not be enough to maintain the lifestyle that you're maintaining. So that's one reason for the low pension benefits. Mm-hmm. Another aspect is also the issue of withdrawals or job switching. Unlike yesteryears where your father, your grandpa would work for one employer for 35, 40 years, the young generation is so agile. If you ask, possibly you've worked for 5, 10 employers. So the rules of pension funds would allow you to cash out Should you want to leave one employer, you cash out what you contribute and you may leave the employer's portion. So should you do that until you get it at the age of 60? Possibly, yeah, you then not get much.
Yeah.
So I think it then speaks to awareness. It speaks to the need to review that aspect of partial access before retirement, so that you balance between adequacy on retirement and partial access. Another reason again would also speak to generally investment performance. If the investments are not well managed, certainly you want the benefits would not be much on retirement. Issues to do with the governance of pension funds, those are focus areas for us. Funds have to be well managed to ensure that on retirement people are secured of their retirement benefits. Then issues to do with the operating environment are also very critical. I think as a sector, it has been very resilient given what we went through as a country, episodes of hyperinflation, currency reforms. Certainly, this is a sector that would require stable and predictable macroeconomic fundamentals to ensure that we do protect the rights of the members. So we are happy we do engage with policy leaders in government, the ministry, the Reserve Bank. The macroeconomic fundamentals are so far pointed to a stable and predictable macroeconomic environment, and we're actually noting a positive response from our sector in terms of assets growth, contributions, as well as investment return.
Is there any flexibility or appetite perhaps towards reviewing or revisiting, I think you called it a defined benefit scheme, which is one of the factors why we are here? Would there be a possibility perhaps of revisiting that and looking at other alternatives or options that perhaps may give people a higher benefit?
That would come as part of holistic pension reforms. We've advocated for this as IPEC, engaging various stakeholders, labor, the business, government, to ensure that we holistically review the challenges that we are facing in the industry and proffer solutions that would then help us to address the issue of benefits holistically.
Indeed. Talking about preservation of value, pension values over time. I know you've spoken to some of the issues, I think, around how these funds are deployed, the investments are deployed, governance and things like that. What else is being done to ensure that value is preserved over time? Because I think the disincentive for many people now and those who contributed over years was they contributed for so many years, and then what they are getting today can't sustain them. So what else could be done to make sure that we preserve that value over time?
There are a number of measures that have been put in place over the years. Number one is to strengthen the legal regulatory framework so that we effectively supervise the sector. We've reviewed the investment legislation for pension funds to ensure investments in alternative assets, for diversifying from the traditional asset classes of bond market, bonds and equities, to also invest in value-preserving assets, including biological assets, agro-value chains, investments in renewable energy, and we've also allowed offshore investments up to a limit of 50% of balance sheet to balance between sovereign risk diversification and taming capital flight for national development. So we've seen pension funds responding positively. They've also invested offshore in an effort to diversify the investment themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Great.
So that's from an investment perspective. From a governance, there are a number of things that we've done, including enhancing the qualifications for one to be able to fund member, ensuring the skills mix, people are aware of what they are doing. Previously, it used to be the person who is making the loudest noise in a workers' committee would sit on a board of fund. So we've now upped the game, just to ensure that we have people who understand the issues to do with investment, actuarial issues, financial matters, so that these funds are protected. We've also introduced the expense caps on pension funds, following observations that a significant portion of resources were going to service providers. Mm-hmm. These are pension fund administrators, asset managers, actuaries, a number of them, to the detriment of the members themselves. So the caps are meant to ensure that we actually save enough and we don't dip into the member contribution themselves for the protection of the fund members.
Now, Mr. Mjoma, tied to this issue we're talking about now, and also the earlier issues we spoke about, pensions have been or have experienced the brunt of the problems or the challenges that Zimbabwe has faced from a currency perspective. So right now, I mean, we talked earlier about payments not being remitted and things like that. What does the law say, or what if I am earning US dollars, or if I am earning ZiG, what is my pension contribution? How am I contributing to my pension? What will I be paid in when I retire?
Okay. We have a statutory instrument 28 of 2020. That statutory instrument was actually issued in consultation with the exchange control authorities. It provides that when one is contributing in foreign currency, the contributions have to be invested in a matching currency, which is also in Forex. This is why we have the likes of IPEC. We have a lot of alternative investments in Forex, including offshore. Then the benefits themselves have to be paid in foreign currency. Even those that contributed in ZiG and also contributing in ZiG, there are also assets that are denominated in ZiG, but generating a return in Forex. For instance, the real estate sector is one such sector which generates returns. Disposals are happening in foreign currency largely. The rental incomes are also accruing in Forex, including dividends for those that are also listed on the stock exchange. So we do have safeguards to ensure that members get what is rightfully theirs in terms of investment return generated from the contributions as well as from the assets.
So my employer can't say they're contributing US dollars or get my US dollar contribution and then remit to ZiG.
That would be legal.
That would be legal indeed. As a final parting shot, Mr. Mjoma, I think it's been very informative and insightful to have you here. Certainly a lot we've learned about the rights that we have as pension scheme contributors, but also the important point you raised about awareness, financial education. As a parting shot, what final message would you have, if any, that you'd like to leave with pension scheme members who may be watching this podcast?
The members, certainly, they need to play a very active role in ensuring that they are managing their retirements. Retirement planning does not start when you are 2 years towards retirement. It starts from the day that you start working. They need to understand the pension fund rules, the type of benefits that are being promised, eligible beneficiaries, whether should the person, kids who benefit, the wife who benefit. They also need to discuss these things with their families, just to raise awareness, to then help us eliminate things like unclaimed benefits. I would also urge them to ensure that they actively participate in annual general meetings. Now there's a requirement for the members to participate in AGMs. This is where they are presented with the financial performance of the pension funds, actual valuation report, and they will be in a position to make informed decision way before they reach retirement. So they are very much empowered in terms of the new Pension Provident Funds Act, and they need to familiarize through their boards, through their respective pension funds. And as IPEC, we are also there to support, including in terms of raising awareness. We are also ready to support in terms of any complaints they may have. We have presence on social media, presence in Lawai. We do have offices, we do conduct roadshows. We are available to serve members of pension funds.
Indeed, and we certainly value that availability and the platform that is being created, certainly also through this IPEC forum where as viewers, as people watching this podcast, you can contribute, get in touch via the social media and digital platforms, as has been mentioned. Also, the WhatsApp number on your screens right now, or pop into any one of the offices where IPEC is physically located. Raise your questions, make complaints, and also tell us about the issues that you would like to hear about. That content or those questions may form and inform other topics that we will cover on the IPEC forum. What remains is for me to thank you, Mr. Cuthbert Mjoma. You've been a fantastic guest. Thank you for the information and the insights.
Thank you.
And that does it for this edition of the IPEC Forum podcast. Mr. Cuthbert Mjoma, Director of Pensions and Life Supervision at the Insurance and Pensions Commission, was our guest. Be sure to join us again next time when we bring you another guest and another insightful topic that focuses on this very important sector, touching on matters to do with insurance and pensions. Do join us then.